hit some anytime goal scorers as well as safe shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some frickin' money. It's time for Pocket with Jo. Hey, good morning, everyone. Jo here at SportsGrid. It's time for Pocket with Jo over here on SportsGrid TV on X. Now, we have a light slate tonight out there on the ice. Only 2 games, but still plenty of opportunities to make some money. Now, remember, if you can't stick around for the full show, it's going to be a quick one. But if you can't stick around, come back for that recap at the end. I'll make sure I timestamp when we kick that off. So, the games out there on the ice today, we have the San Jose Sharks versus the Winnipeg Jets and the Vegas Golden Knights versus the LA Kings. Now, we're looking at the Winnipeg Jets as like a $5 favorite out here. Let me just pull up current odds. All odds are over on FanDuel. So it's come down a little bit. It was 5-1. Now it's minus 490 on that money line. Of course, unbettable range, but I look at the puck line. It's unbettable as well. Laying 1.5 is minus 170. That is out of somewhere I feel comfortable laying that kind of juice. So looking at the San Jose Sharks, could this team keep it tight? That's a hard call here. They're on the second night of a back-to-back after losing last night to the Calgary Flames, but we're able to keep it tight in that 3-2 loss. We did see Celebrini and Tyler Toffoli both score yesterday, and hopefully you guys checked out the Madden Quickie. In the Madden Quickie over on the SportsGrid app, we had Ovechkin for goal, Leon Draisaitl for the goal, Nazem Kadri for the goal, as well as Tyler Toffoli. 2 games, 4 players, all of those players able to get those goals. So always stay tuned to the SportsGrid app to make sure that you're grabbing those bets over there. So we made some freaking money with those player props yesterday. We're going to try to roll it back here again and get the same thing done. So looking at the San Jose Sharks, what are we going to see out of them? Second night of a back-to-back. Now, Georgiev played great in goal last night. Just to note, this total has hit 5.5 at minus 130 to the over. So Georgiev was in net for the San Jose Sharks, and he actually stood on his head. Even though he allowed 3 goals, that was on 36 shots on net. So really impressed with him. Now, Vanacek will be in net tonight versus the Winnipeg Jets. Vanacek is definitely having his worst season right now. He's got a save percentage of .878. So hard to trust him, especially against the Winnipeg Jets. We know if the Sharks go in the box, the Winnipeg Jets will be able to convert. Kyle Connor, Josh Morrissey should be out on the ice. There's so many strong playmakers. Now we will see Connor Hellebucky is confirmed in net tonight for the Winnipeg Jets. We know how Jordan Binnington did yesterday. Jordan Binnington able to pull off the win versus Colorado. So hopefully you guys rolled with me with the St. Louis Blues yesterday with Jordan Binnington rolling with that momentum. I don't think the momentum rolls in here for Connor Hellebuck, though. I do think the Sharks will be able to put up a couple goals. And I know, call me crazy here, but you look at the Winnipeg Jets, they've won their last 9 in a row. So they're rolling hot. I still think they get the win here, but I'm looking for the Sharks to grab a couple of goals. So the last matchup between these 2 teams was in December. We saw the Winnipeg Jets win 4-3. Now, if they get the win again today, they will sweep the season over the San Jose Sharks. So the last matchup was a 4-3 win, and the one prior, they were able to win 8-3. So they came out and they absolutely steamrolled. They covered the puck line. They covered an old puck line if you laid 2.5. I do think we could be in a very similar situation, but I'm looking at the Sharks to continue that flow where they're able to get those goals on the board. The problem is the books are expecting that as well. So I had to get a little creative, not going to lie, in this one. You can take the San Jose Sharks team total over 1.5 goals. I do believe they get to. Celebrini and Toffoli scored yesterday. I think both of those guys roll in with momentum. When we look at Toffoli, he scored in the last 4 road games out there. Celebrini got his 18th goal yesterday, and he had 6 shots on net versus the Calgary Flames. So he really brought it yesterday. Look for them to roll with momentum. But with the Winnipeg Jets, we know how strong this team is. We know this team can score the goals, especially if there's any mistakes there by the San Jose Sharks that don't have a strong defense. So I'm going to look at the Winnipeg Jets team total as well, over 3.5. Again, the problem is the book's expecting it. Book's expecting 4 goals. Highly juiced, minus 166. So it's really interesting here to see both of these team totals juiced and the over at minus 130. I do think you can just take it over the total at 5.5 at -130. But I looked at a way to try to make some freaking money, plus money. You guys know that I'm so hungry for that plus money. You take the Sharks over 1.5 goals. You just have to have faith they get 2. And then you take the Jets over 3.5 goals. You have to have faith they get 4. Both are highly juiced in the -160 range, but parlayed together, it comes out at +162. That is where I'm going. Another way you could look at this, though, you could look here at the Winnipeg Jets team total over 3.5. This is the team we have the most faith in, right? So let me just put this into a little bit of a parlay. The Winnipeg Jets team total over 3.5. And then you look at those goal scorers. Now you got Kyle Connor, you got Mark Scheifele coming back out on the ice. I do think Mark Scheifele with the rest should be able to score. So if you just look at the Winnipeg Jets team total over 3.5, and Mark Scheifele for the anytime goal, that's coming in at +192. I might do a combination of some of these parlays out there, you guys, because I do think there is a way to make some money without having to lay all of that juice. Now, when we look further down the list here at goal scorers, you could take Kyle Connor. So over 3.5 goals for the Winnipeg Jets and Kyle Connor for the anytime goal. That's at +161. It's great. I do think Mark Scheifele can score. Kyle Connor, though, should be able to score. You're just getting more value with Scheifele. If you want to go down to the second and third line style guys, Josh Morrissey he will be in the lineup. It's a hard one for him to play there. What about if we look at, no, I don't think I'd really go. I'd look at Kyle Connor or Mark Scheifele. You could look Josh Morrissey, but I would look at those two for their goal scoring. So you're going to get great plus money. Now, if you wanted to go, okay, Tyler Toffoli's been hot, right? We know Toffoli's been hot. If you think the Sharks go over 1.5 goals, which I do, you parlay Tyler Toffoli and the Sharks over 1.5 goals, that's coming in at +318. So depending on what you're liking tonight, I definitely think there's a way to play around, manipulate these team totals, and then grab a goal scorer that you think. Now it's going to be harder for the Sharks to score. We know Tyler Toffoli scored yesterday. I think he continues to roll hot. So if you don't want Toffoli and you want Celebrini, because he did put up 6 shots on goal, was able to get that goal yesterday, you're looking at Celebrini. Actually, it's funny. So before I remove this, Tyler Toffoli over 1.5 goals and Macklin Celebrini for a goal coming in at +1233. I wouldn't get greedy and I wouldn't put both players in, but you could see them scoring. They did yesterday. It's +321 just for Celebrini in the over 1.5. So if you want to go that way with the Sharks, I'm going to take the Sharks team total over 1.5, the Jets team total over 3.5, expecting this to be a 4-2 style win here for the Winnipeg Jets, pushing us over the 5.5. So parlayed together, those team totals coming in at +162. If you want goal scorers, Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele would be who I would parlay with the Jets team total to the over. And then if you want for the Sharks, it would be Celebrini or Tyler Toffoli. I lean more towards Toffoli to continue to roll hot and then parlaying them with the over 1.5. Or you could just look at goal scorers here. You could take Toffoli and Kyle Connor for the goal, parlay it together. I expect a couple of goals in this one. Okay, now let's look at the matchup here between the Vegas Golden Knights and the LA Kings. This should be the game of the night, right? You've got Pacific Division opponents going up against each other. We have the LA Kings rolling in here, third in the Pacific at home. We know how strong this team is at home. 18-3-2, but you look at them in the division. This is where they've been struggling, you guys. 7-8-1 in the division. Now, Vegas sitting first in the Pacific. They are lighting things up, especially with Edmonton taking the loss this weekend. We've seen that back and forth battle for first in the Pacific. Vegas now sitting on top. So they've been a little inconsistent out there on the road compared to in the Fortress. They are 14-11-3 on the road this season. But you look at them in the division and they have just absolutely dominated. 15-2-1. Crazy to think that they've only had those 2 real losses versus the division. So your goaltending matchup should be Adin Hill. Adin Hill expected here for Vegas. He's got a .903 save percentage. And Darcy Kemper coming in here for the LA Kings. Now, we know one thing about both of these teams. Defenses are so strong out there for both of them. You look at the Vegas Golden Knights, they're only allowing a 2.7 goals per game. And right around the same here for the LA Kings. Look for these teams to absolutely locked down in this one. Now, Vegas is rolling in after winning their last 3. Saturday, big win at home versus Vancouver, 3-1. For them to shut down that offense of the Vancouver Canucks, who are stronger out there on the road, I was really impressed with what we saw out of Vegas in that game. I'm looking also at an LA Kings team that did allow 3 goals to Utah. They should have locked down stronger. And I do think that would have put some discipline in them coming into this game. They cannot play as weak defensively as they did in that last game versus Utah. And yes, they still got the win. Yes, they still covered the puck line for us, but it wasn't a pretty win. 5-3 win over the Utah Hockey Club. So look for the defenses to lock down. I do think this one stays under 5.5. The interesting thing of this total is it's -110 to either side. Now, when we look at where these teams are sitting on the money line, Vegas is a slight favorite, -115 on the money line, -104 here for the LA Kings, and we are getting movement on these. I would look here for the LA Kings to be able to get the win at home. I can't get past how strong the LA Kings are at home and how inconsistent we have seen the play out of Vegas. Now, I know Vegas versus the division, this is where they really step up. So you do have some playmakers that I think are going to push this game. I think this game has every opportunity of going to overtime. The overtime bet in the books do too. Normally +350, it's a +290 overtime bet here between these two Pacific Division opponents, and I do think we hit it. So I'm looking for the Kings to win this 3-2 in OT. The overtime bet at +290. The Kings at -104. When right before we got on the show, I bet them at -115. So like I said, these odds are moving. And the under 5.5 at -110. If you want to stay off the under because you're worried about the overtime going 3-3 into OT, I don't blame you. I do think there's some players that you want to circle here for sure. You guys know we've been parlaying Kempe and Kopitar for their point, and it's been making us money for the LA Kings on the season. When we look at the Vegas Golden Knights, Jack Eichel is on watch for goal number 20. He has 19 goals on the season and 50 assists in 56 games, so 69 points this season. So not only goal number 20, but point number 70. So you could see that out of Jack Eichel tonight. Again, we're going to have limited goals, so it does feel risky to take goal scorers when I'm looking for a 3-2 style win. But someone has to get those goals up on the board. Jack Eichel for the anytime goal +185. You guys, I got a hit on it just because we're watching for that goal number 20. Now, Mark Stone is looking for point number 50 tonight. Mark Stone has 49 points, which comprises of 14 goals and 35 assists in 43 games. So Mark Stone looking to continue to roll hot as well. I would look for the point out of Mark Stone and the goal out of Jack Eichel. Now, you could just take them both for a point tonight. The problem is it's not going to give you much value. They're both over -200 for their point tonight. So when you parlay them together, it comes into -113 for Jack Eichel and Mark Stone for the point. I would look at Mark Stone for the assist tonight at -111. I think that holds value. And I would look at Jack Eichel +185 for the anytime goal. So depending on where you want to go with that. Again, like I said, it's Kempe and Kopitar that you really look at for the LA Kings. Both of their points are coming in right around that -130 to -140 mark. So when you parlay Kempe and Kopitar together, actually that's Fiala, Kempe and Kopitar, you're looking at +132. So you can play around with that. One other player that's been playing very strong is Thomas Hertl. He scored in Vegas's last 2 games. So his point tonight's coming in at -132. You could also look at him for the goal tonight, Thomas Hertl at +230. But again, like I said, you guys, I'm looking for this to be a lower scoring game. So be cautious with how many goal scorers you do take out there. Yes, if you take 2 goal scorers, 1 from each team, you only need to hit 1. And I still think there's going to be 5 goals in this because I think 3-2 overtime win for the LA Kings. So that is where I'm going. Okay, Jamie, you're going to go with the Jets money line and the LA Kings money line in both games. Okay, yeah, I think the Jets can win. The problem is the Jets winning is they're -490. I'm not willing to lay that juice. If you're willing to lay that juice, absolutely. I think the Sharks are one of those teams that get those sneaky wins in some situations, but everything's stacked against them here. Second night back-to-back. Connor Hellebuck making his debut since looking so solid in the Four Nations. So I do think the Jets pull out the win. It's just super pricey. I love the LA Kings here on the money line. Yes, they've struggled in the division, but I do think they play strong. You put $35 on those games and it pays $274. Let me know exactly how you took those games, Jamie. That would be great to know. So you guys, let's do the recap. It's going to be a solid day out there on the ice. And for all of you looking for some more bets, make sure you check out the SportsGrid app. My Madden Quickie will be up shortly. Going to look at some NBA as well as college basketball today between that and my Cup of Joe. So stay tuned for those. But 2 games on the ice today. Loaded slate here. We're going to have a long show tomorrow. So make sure you come back and join me here noon Eastern daily on SportsGrid TV on X. And if you guys can hit that like button, hit that retweet button. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button so you do know when I go live, one of those Cup of Joes do drop. So recap time here for all of you. We're at almost the 16-minute mark and 2 games on the ice. We're kicking it off with the San Jose Sharks on the second night of a back-to-back versus the Winnipeg Jets. I do think the Sharks, they've proven they can score on the Winnipeg Jets. They put up 3 goals in both of the meetings so far this season. Although I think the Winnipeg Jets still win this, I think the Sharks team total over 1.5 is definitely where you want to go for the Sharks, but the Winnipeg Jets over 3.5 is a solid way to go as well. The problem is the books know this, and both of those lines are in the minus 160. When we parlay together, and this is what I did, the Sharks over 1.5 goals and the Winnipeg Jets over 3.5 goals, it's coming in at plus 162. That is my favorite bet of this game. You can just take the over 5.5 if you want. That's coming in at minus 130 if you think the Jets win this 5-1 style, which has every opportunity of cashing as well, you guys. So the over 5.5 would be a solid way to go. It's minus 130 though. I want plus money, so let's be greedy. Sharks over 1.5 goals parlayed with the Winnipeg Jets over 1.5 or over 3.5 goals at plus 162. I wish it was 1.5. Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele is where I would look for the goals for the Winnipeg Jets. Toffoli and Celebrini for the Sharks. The LA Kings and the Vegas Golden Knights going to be the best game of the night. Give me overtime at plus 290. Give me the Kings on the money line here at minus 104. And then give me here in this one the under 5.5. I do think this is a lower scoring game. Looking at goal scorers, Jack Eichel for goal number 20 tonight, and then Mark Stone for point number 50, and then Kempe and Kopitar parlayed together over there for the LA Kings. But you guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Let's make some freaking money out there on the ice. If you're rolling it on the Lakers on Tuesday. Okay, let's see if the Lakers can get that win on Tuesday. Gotta love how they're playing right now. So you guys, all the best in all of your bets. Thank you so much for joining me here for Pocket with Joe over here on SportsGrid TV on X. I will see you back here noon Eastern tomorrow. So until then, you guys, let's make some freaking money. We'll see you then. Hit some anytime goal scorers as well as save some goals for some of these goalies.